Chapter 3 is bigger and grander than previous entries of Poppy Playtime, and in this video I'll run down the best moments that stood out to me. With Chapter 5 almost out, looking back at what came before gets me excited for what might come next. So stick around if you want to see my thoughts on Chapter 5 when it releases. Let's get into it. Number 1. Game opening. The way Catnap unceremoniously dumps us in the trash is pretty funny to me. This guy spends the entire game threatening us, stalking us, and yet right at the beginning he literally couldn't be bothered. It's crazy. Not only is it funny in the sense that Catnap chose not to kill us, but I think it works as a unique midpoint to the series, marking the end of those slower openings of previous chapters, as the story pace kicks up a notch. Number 2. Entering Playcare. Entering Playcare is a highlight for me, mostly because I could sense how much the developers want us to enjoy their hard work. You can tell this was the focus of Chapter 3 in terms of environment, and the creators give us an immediate impression of how much larger this chapter was going to be compared to Chapters 1 and 2. I'd say Chapter 3 is now the standard length for what we expect for a Poppy Playtime chapter, at about 4 or 5 hours long. Number 3. The Orphanage. This scene is single-handedly the one that made this video worth doing, because I love talking about the orphanage. It borrows from other games like PT, but that doesn't change the fact it's effective as the game's most genuine attempt at horror. After entering the orphanage, you immediately inhale red gas and descend the staircase. The hallway stretches out abnormally long as you walk through the building, which feels haunted and rich in atmosphere. I don't think we really experience this anywhere else in all the other chapters. A voice on the radio talks about children who went missing. Later, the walls begin to change, leading us to dead ends and then opening into new areas. It was only upon replaying that I noticed Catnap not only stalks us in the corridors, but appears inside some of the rooms as we pass. And finally, we reach the most effective part of this nightmare sequence, the small room where Nightmare Huggy appears. The scariest part for me is the voice of our so-called manager, starting off friendly before he becomes dark and twisted. I think the voice acting here is some of the most disturbing in the game. He talks about our time at the factory, both playing on our character's possible guilt and reminding the player of our interactions with Huggy. Now that I think about it, it's very Silent Hill too. Is Huggy the pyramid head to our James? Maybe. After the talking ends, Huggy bursts out of the screen and chases us down the hallway. It really highlights the trauma our character feels and their sense of guilt, and that makes it one of the most psychological scenes in the entire series. Forget lore and VHS tapes, this is the first real moment of the player being actively made to feel our character's trauma, something that I hope they do more of in Chapter 5 and beyond. It showed that mob games can do psychological horror, even if they were heavily borrowing elements from other games. Number 4. Miss Delight. Entering a school to be hunted down by a deranged toy killer is not something I predicted. Miss Delight is, well, a delight in terms of horror. This is some of the best use of VHS tapes, as we see her insanity and learn the darker details of what she's done before we finally face her. But what stands out even more is the brilliant use of her gameplay mechanics. You look away and she moves. It's effective horror done right. So often these games struggle to make instructions clear to the player, especially in fast-paced scenes like with the smiling critters or boss fights. But with Miss Delight, you get to plan, you get to watch her move, and figure out the timing at your own pace. All the while she's creeping closer, breathing down your neck. The tension stays high even as we're given room to think and respond. The fact you can stand still and stop her movements doesn't take away from the fear. It only adds to it. And I love that. Number 5. Dog Day. To be honest, I'm mostly including this because the horror was pretty gross and graphic, and any time the game leans into horror and shows me it's not afraid to do so, despite being partly marketed to kids, well, I'm pretty happy. While I hated the Smiling Critters gameplay with a vengeance, Dog Day at least provides some story context and a fun chase scene. I also find it funny how his cutout recording tells us we should leave after. Like, can someone explain to me how these cutouts work? Who is recording these? Number 6. Kissy Grab. Oh my god, how could I forget this? That's the second time Kissy Missy has actually scared me. They continue to make her just a little intimidating and cute at the same time, continuing to play with our fear of Huggy, which is great. Also, look at her wave at us from above. What a cutie. Number 7. Grab Pack upgrades. I know before I talked about the Grab Pack being unique because it isn't a gun, but I like how the flare gun only scares monsters rather than being able to kill anything. It's both a blessing and a curse as they experiment with new Grab Pack gloves, or Grab Pack hands, whatever you call them. In Catnap's fight, where you're constantly changing between them, it gets a bit tedious, but when we have separate areas for like the purple, red or green and blue, It creates some fun puzzling as you have to think more creatively, switching between them to solve puzzles. Now you're thinking with portals. Number 8. Hour of Joy tape reveal. The hype surrounding the Hour of Joy makes this tape one of the most important in the game. I get annoyed at how often they use tapes to relay information to the player, information that's usually better served by showing rather than telling. But in the case of the Hour of Joy, this is an event so important to the story that it makes sense to show it. And personally, I found it very disturbing to see the bodies on that small pixelated TV, as cute music plays softly in the background. There are just so many bodies, my god. I'm not sure why, but anytime you depict something in low res, it becomes infinitely scarier than anything shown in high quality. Good stuff. Number 9. Prototype kills Catnap. I'll be honest, I'm still confused as to why the prototype did this when Catnap was so loyal, but I think we all saw it coming. The prototype never seems bothered by the player being like 5 feet away. I guess it's some kind of power move on his part. But yeah, it's pretty memorable seeing Catnap shanked right in the gob. Not something one sees every day. Number 10. Kissy's attack. This felt personal. Honestly, how dare you attack my girl like this? I'm not including it because I liked it. It's just that it was hard waiting for chapter 4 during the stress of not knowing what happened to Kissy, only to find out that she's mostly fine. So that's it for chapter 3. I probably won't do chapter 4 or 5 until Broken Things has released, but if you're enjoying these little videos, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.